The best metaverse investment right now. According to reports, someone paid $2.4 million buying a metaverse land, which is difficult to comprehend. The metaverse, after all, is intended to be infinite. There isn't just one, but many. So how does purchasing land in a place with no boundaries make any financial sense? Welcome back to Metaverse. In today's video, I'm going to show you how these folks makes money, where you can buy this land and whether or not this is something you should start investing in. So, let's get started. The first one is from the Metaverse Group, which is a Canadian real estate investment company in the digital space that bought 116 parcels of land, each about 52.5 square feet, for a grand total of 6,090 square feet, which is not huge. Just for the context, that's roughly the size of 3 tennis courts, or about 1 basketball court, or a little bit bigger because a basketball court is about 4,700 square feet. And for that amount of land, they paid 618,000 mana, which is another cryptocurrency that by today's valuation is worth roughly $3 million. Now that was the biggest digital land acquisition in history until recently, when that record was smashed by another company called Republic Realm. Republic Realm is another digital investment company that spent $4.3 million buying virtual land instead of Decentraland, which is another very popular metaverse. It's also the same company that created ultra-luxurious Metaflower, which is a mega yacht with a hot tub and a DJ booth and 2 helicopter landing pods. Now, someone bought that yacht for 149 Ethereum, worth about 650,000 US dollars, which is crazy. Seriously, people are spending an insane amount of money on non-real, non-physical assets, and on the surface, it looks as though it's driven purely by hype and speculation. According to Grayscale Trust, which by the way is a group of really wealthy investors, they say that Metaverse is a $1 trillion opportunity. That's $1 trillion in revenue per year. Right now, no company in the world comes even close to making that kind of money, and the land is supposed to play a big part of that revenue in the metaverse. So the question is, how is buying something that is limitless supposed to make you money? The answer is, it's not limitless. There's a limited amount of this digital land, the same way that there's a limited number of digital bitcoins. Just because they're digital doesn't mean there's an infinite amount of them. If we compare that the real physical land, you'll start to kind of see the difference, because physical land seems like it has an advantage, right? Because right now we have real world applications. Physical land is something we can use agriculture for. We can build houses on top of. We can host live events. There are lots of things we can do with land, and land in the physical world is not infinite. There's clearly a limited amount of land. So it should be valuable, right? But it's not always valuable. Take a look at this example. If you want to buy one whole arc in the New Mexico, that's here in the US, you can do that right now for $50. If that's not enough and you want 12 whole acres, which is the equivalent of about 9 football fields, you could do that right now for a whopping $450. The point is that not all land, even the physical world, has any value, and then it depends on the location of its network effects. Now, when it comes to making money from the virtual land, the strategy right now is, at least the short term, is to buy the land and sell it to someone who wants to pay you more money for it, which can sometimes work. But the long-term strategy and the real reason that people are spending millions of dollars on the land is that they are speculating that someday the land they own will become a place where people come together by millions. Kind of like Facebook is today. Kind of like where the Central Park was decades before anyone knew what Central Park would eventually become. So, they are all speculating that their land will eventually become that place. Now, a way to make money with this land is to charge fees to people that come here. So, for example, if you want to host live events, you can charge fees for people that go there. You can also lease your land to someone else and let them take care of it for a while. You charge them fees and you can actually host live events with video games or even live concerts. A great example is Justin Bieber. Just last month in November, put on a free concert in the Metaverse. Now, it was mostly a publicly stunt for a company that created it. But a lot of people turned in from all over the world to watch Justin Bieber sing in the Metaverse live. It wasn't perfect, but people enjoyed it more than they thought they would, because you would have guessed that people don't always want to go to live concert, considering that everything that's going around the world. So this land has real-world practical applications too. Another great example is Snoop Dogg. The DOGG himself partnered with a sandbox to build a virtual mansion that will house his NFT collection. People can go up to it and walk through it, interact with him, and he'll eventually put on concerts for them. And you can even buy a land all around his mansion, which loves that or hates that has a lot of value to a lot of people. All of his stuff will be a part of how people will make money with land in the metaverse. But this part is where they'll make most of that money. Video games, here are great examples. There's a super popular video game called Axie Infinity. Now, this game has over 360,000 players all over the world, with roughly 40% of those people coming from the Philippines and many others coming from Africa. Now, this game is known as to play to earn, and it's played on the blockchain. And for playing this game successfully, people earn something called SLP, or Smooth Love Potion, which has real dollar value behind it. And here's why that's so important. Let's look at Ghana, which is a country in West Africa, with a minimum wage of $2.05 per day. The living monthly wage there is $111.50. But get this, the average Axie Infinity player in Ghana is making anywhere between $140 to $420 a month. That's incredible. Video games like Axie Infinity are literally changing lives worldwide, and imagine what they'll do once they go global and get the size of games like Minecraft, Valorant, League of Legends, Dota, and whatever else kids play these days. But the way that land is integrated into these video games is those game developers create these platforms of land as NFTs, non-fungible tokens for players to buy that they can upgrade, that they can farm, they can level up their creatures on, and upgrade them, ultimately making them more money with. The highest plot of land sale in the land of Axie Infinity, which is called Lunasia, sold for $2.5 million. It was what's called as Genesis plot of land, and there was only 220 ever made it. Came with own special perks and benefits for players to level up their creatures with. If you're still not convinced though, there's something else called crypto voxels, which is another very popular metaverse that's based on the Ethereum blockchain, which allows the people that own the land there to create virtual museums and galleries to display their NFTs. So imagine going to a museum or gallery with some of the most expensive NFTs ever bought and sold, that this kind is so cool. Wow, did someone actually spend $12,000 on a Spider-Man NFT? So now, let's talk about where you can actually buy this land. Before we buy the land, I think a really legit question is, who is selling us this land? The people that are selling these virtual plots of land are the developers of that specific metaverse. Because remember, there's not one metaverse, there are many. One popular one is the Lunasia from the game Axie Infinity that I told you about. But when most people talk about buying land in the metaverse, they're usually referring to one most popular ones. The first place is called Sandbox, and it was created in 2012. They have a limited amount of 166,000 plots of land. So again, it is limited, and their focus is on allowing their users to create their own NFTs and video games, which is pretty cool. They partnered with people like Snoop Dogg, Ubisoft, SoftBank, and OpenSea, and they raised over $93 million in their first round of funding. The second place that people are referring to is the Decentraland, which was created in 2015, and they also have a limited amount of very heavily funded. But they also hosted a live event with over 80 music artists. Anyone could join the concert. You didn't need to own a land, you could just go there and watch. But you could see how buying strategic land and a place like that could someday become valuable. Then there's also Meta, which is Facebook's Metaverse approach, which is more of a centralized approach to this digital universe. And we're going to see a lot more of that in the future as publicly traded companies will want a piece of this industry. What they'll find out the hard way though is that the reason we find this stuff is so exciting is that it isn't owned by any publicly traded companies. We're just creating these communities for independent artists and people to go there and create and share their experiences, and we are not the end project, where we have to give up our valuable data. And that is also why there's not going to be one metaverse. There are going to be many of that competing for your attention and what you find most valuable. But now let's talk about some of the risks and downsides to investing in it. It's a great idea to be early as an investor, but there is a phase of technology when it's just due. Yes, I've heard of people buying and selling land by flipping it to someone else. But as far as real-world utilities are concerned, I haven't seen it to the degree that it's super profitable just yet. At the end of the day, the Metaverse is a high-fidelity version of a website. Maybe it's VR, but then again, do you need a limited, highly exclusive way, very expensive plot of land to display your products? Or you can buy 10 versions of some land somewhere, like you can in a website. It's just too early to tell. That's why most investors we hear about are multi-million-dollar investors that can speculate and throw in a couple of $1,000,000 because if they lose, it's no big deal. But if they win big. You have to bet big to win big. The lesson about the $1,000,000 homepage. Take a look. Back in the day of 2005 when the internet was becoming more popular, a college kid from the UK came with a brilliant idea to fund his college tuition. It was called the $1,000,000homepage.com. It exists today and it's a homepage that has 1,000 pixels wide by 1,000 pixels high. In other words, 1,000,000 pixels inside of it. Anyone could buy a tiny little pixel to advertise their company or their service. The idea of this spread like wildfire around the internet. People thought this is so brilliant. If this idea spreads so fast, this is a clever way that people will market themselves in the future on the internet. This is the future of advertising and search engines. He charged people $1 because you knew it all of the square were sold out and it made Alex $1,000,000. Now, the people that bought these squares never really saw a return on their money, but it made the creator rich. This story has a parallel to what's going on in the real world of the Metaverse and land and NFTs because the only guaranteed winners that are this early in this game are people selling you the dream of owning land. Don't get me wrong, the Metaverse is absolutely going to become the future. Just like we knew the internet was going to become the future. We have no idea what the Metaverse will look like in 10 years from now. So what are your thoughts about this topic? Do you think this video is useful? Please let me know by leaving a comment down below. And if you love this video, please press the like button, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you for stopping by to watch. See you on our next video.